Hey there, I'm Desiree with DesYoga.com, and this series has been designed to release and lengthen your fascial lines. Please remember to move slowly throughout the series, and if any pain occurs, to gently come out of the pose. If you are somebody with a chronic injury or persistent pain, please consult your doctor, physiotherapist, or yoga therapist to determine whether this series is right for you. Each pose will be held for 3 breaths, and as you become familiar with the series, you can lengthen that. We're going to start in a wide-legged child's pose, taking our knees wide on our mat, and then letting our big toes touch, working our seat towards our heels, but if the seat is lifted, just energetically working it towards the heels. We're going to start by releasing the back and stretching our arms forward and bringing our forehead to the mat. Letting the arms be heavy, working the seat towards the heels, just gently beginning to wake the back up. Let's take this into our right side by lifting up our forehead, walking our hands over to the right, bringing the forehead down, thinking of this left shoulder, bringing the left shoulder down, thinking of the left hip, bringing the left seat down. Opening up the lateral line. And then bringing the head back up, walking back to center, pausing for a moment, and then coming over to the left side. Bringing the forehead down, thinking of your right shoulder, bringing your right shoulder down, thinking of your right hip, working that right hip down. Getting a good lateral line stretch here. And then bringing your head back, coming back to center. Bringing the forehead down and then just flipping the palm, getting into our deep and superficial arm lines here, and gently encouraging the shoulders to externally rotate. Imagining the thumbs are working towards the earth. They may not get there, but energetically we can think of that. Then let's flip the palms back, lifting the forehead up, walking the hands back just a bit, and then we're going to come forward so that the shoulders are in line with the wrists. Let's tuck our toes, feet come out wide, and then coming back into a squat, walking the hands back as the weight of the body comes back. Starting off in our squat, we want to make sure that our knees are in line with our ankles. If you can't get your heels to the ground, you may want to place just like a phone book or a bolster underneath the heels. Going to get into a little bit of a deeper stretch of the superficial back line by walking our fingers forward and letting the head hang. This is also a deep stretch in the hips, a release in the Achilles, and a foot strengthener. Remembering there should be no pain in the knees. We're going to walk our hands back, bringing our feet together, walking the hands forward and coming down onto the knees. If you have any kind of knee sensitivity, you can always fold your mat and place your knees under a little bit of extra padding. We're going to come into our cat-cow releases, which is great for the superficial back line and the superficial front line. We want our knees and our hips to be in line, and then we want our wrists and our shoulders to be in line. If you have any kind of wrist injury, then just come up onto the fists or if your wrists are sensitive. Otherwise, spreading the fingers and being on the palms. We're going to start with the superficial back line release of an angry kitty. Breathing here, really encouraging that back to arch. Gaze is through the knees. And then let's counter that with a superficial front line release as we concave the back and the gaze comes towards the ceiling. Few breaths here. Coming back into the superficial back line. Remembering, if keeping your toes tucked is too much for those little toes, you can always just bring the tops of the feet down. And coming into the reverse, superficial back line release, cow. And one last cat. And one last cow. Coming back into tabletop, you're going to tuck your toes, walk your hands back to your knees, and then come back through a squat. This time, we're going to root the back of our arms into our shins, bring our hands together, and encourage the chest to come through the legs. Next, we're going to release the hands, bring the hands behind us, and gently come onto our seat. You want to take your hand and encourage the flesh all the way from your knee up your seat so that you can be on the most level part of your seat. Feet are going to start at a hips distance, hands are down by your sides, and you're just going to begin to gently flex and point the feet. Engaging your core, and this works our deep front line. And then coming into some ankle circles in one direction. Watching the knees, you don't want the knees to be going for a travel here. You want the knees to stay stable and the motion coming from the ankles. Swap and go the other way. Core is engaged, heart is lifted, shoulders drawing down the back. And stopping there. You're going to bring the feet together, knees together, and making sure those knees are like headlights and they're pointing straight up to the ceiling. We're going to engage the core, lift our heart up, interlace our fingers with our right finger, right thumb on top. Bring that interlacing behind the head, nestle it into that curvy place at the base of your skull, and then bring the elbows together so that the elbow is in line with the armpit, and then you're lengthening out of the armpit. So the armpit is pulling and the elbows are pulling up to get lots of length and space through the front of the body. As we flex our feet, we're going to then curl slowly, making our way down nice and slow and getting into that deep back line, reaching those elbows away from the armpit, and eventually the crown of our head rests on our knees. And this is a very deep, superficial back line release. And to come out of this, curl up just as slow as you curl down. Let's take this into the arms by bringing the nestled hands on top of the head. And then let's just twist to the right for our spiral line. And then let's twist to the left. Coming back to center. You're going to flip the palms above your head. Stretch those arms.